Hello, and welcome to our How to Coach series of videos. I am Jan Bo Nielsen from Quiver Management, and today I'm going to talk about radical candor, or as I prefer to call it, compassionate candor. So this is a really key approach for any leader who are giving feedback to their team members or colleagues, or for any coach who's giving feedback to their client, or mentor to their client as well. So imagine you're in the office and a team member or colleague walks past you and you notice that toilet paper is trailing behind them. What will you do? Will you tell them, or do you choose to say nothing? Maybe you know they'll be embarrassed, so you don't mention it. But on the other hand, if you say nothing, many more people will see this embarrassing situation. Maybe you're concerned that the person will not like you if you point it out to them, and therefore you say nothing. Or maybe you actually decide to point it out in a loud voice in front of everyone in sort of a humorous way, but now you risk humiliating them. Or do you actually take them to the side and tell them? Kim Scott, in her book Radical Candor, talks about the importance of being really clear, direct, and honest when you give feedback. So this is not about being aggressive and unkind, but rather because you care about the team member personally when you challenge them or give them feedback. So her model is built around two axes. It's built around a sort of a two-dimensional framework of a caring personally. To what extent are you caring personally? And on the horizontal axis, to what extent do you actually challenge directly, with the left-hand side being you don't challenge at all? That gives us 4 boxes. And on the top left one, we have the quadrant of ruinous empathy. In this quadrant, you care personally about the individual, but you fail to challenge them directly. So this may be a form of feedback that comes from a place of kindness, but then lacks the necessary clarity and honesty to help the person improve. And this can lead to complacency and a lack of personal and professional growth. So why would we actually do this? Well, maybe because we feel bad for the person. We empathize how it may feel to receive this negative, or for that matter, positive feedback. And this is also where the infamous shit sandwich is likely to take place, where the shit sandwich is where you give some positive feedback, then some negative feedback, and then you finish off with a bit of positive feedback again. But there's a real risk that we're disguising the negative feedback, or at least it's not clear anymore what is it actually we're trying to say, and we risk confusing the other person. Maybe you could even say we care too much at times, where we just want to make the other person feel better, rather than help learn and improve. And we believe maybe that just being motivating through positive feedback is the way forward. But actually, that is misplaced. Sometimes people need to have direct and clear feedback. That's what actually is going to be the most motivating aspect, and they can learn, grow, and become better at their role. Down the bottom left-hand corner, we have what Kim calls the manipulative insincerity. This is where we don't actually care enough to challenge the other person. We may be concerned about the other person not liking us if we point it out, so therefore we say nothing. Maybe we feel it's a bit too hard, too much of a risk for ourselves. So now we're starting to look more about what is best for us rather than what's best for the other person. Maybe we feel too tired to confront them, so we choose to say nothing, or we just say the niceties. So imagine you're talking to the boss of the company, and he comes down and asks, so what did you think of my presentation? And you thought there was some good and some bad, but you choose just to say the good things. Oh, I thought it was a great presentation. But some of the things you didn't feel go well, you decide not to say. Why did you do this? Was that really helping the boss as much as you could, or were you just sort of protecting yourself? Then we have potentially the worst one in some ways, because, and I'm sure you don't do this. This is where you challenge people directly, but without showing that you actually care personally. So this is where you give feedback and challenge without any empathy, and it can come across as aggressive and insensitive. And this can really create a toxic environment and impact team morale negatively. This can very much feel like it's a one-upmanship, you trying to win these situations. And then we have the compassionate candor. This is the ideal quadrant. This is when you offer honest, direct, clear feedback and guidance, while also at the same time demonstrating that you care about the person's well-being and growth. So here you take the colleague aside and say something along the lines of, John, you have some toilet paper stuck to your right shoe. I know I would appreciate when people tell me if it happens to me, so I hope you don't mind me mentioning it to you. So yes, you might be taking a risk that they get embarrassed and don't take it well, but remember that we're aiming to help the other person because we care. So are there times when you don't give feedback to your team members and you afterwards regret not doing it? Whether that's positive or negative feedback, and it might not be, quite most of the time, it isn't related to the social faux pas or embarrassing situations. It's likely to be related to how the individual team members are behaving, acting, performing in a work environment. Maybe they're not quite behaving in the way you want in a team meeting. Maybe there are some things they can improve in how they do their work. Maybe they needed to show a little more care when they send out an email out with some numbers that are actually not correct, and now it's creating a difficult situations for you, the team, others. All these situations are opportunities where you might be able to give some feedback that is either motivating in its own sense because it's positive, or it's motivating in a sense that actually this now enables the other person to learn, develop, and grow. And when you're then doing it, are you doing it in such a way that you are direct, but also compassionate, recognizing that what you're trying to do is to help them, and they also recognize that is your purpose, even if it's a difficult message to share. So remember this model around compassionate feedback, compassionate candor in the way that you give feedback to your team members. I hope you find this useful. And if you like to, remember to give it a like in below, and subscribe if you don't already. And please do share it with others that you think may find this helpful. Thank you.